Ayy, poppin' like I'm supposed to. Watch out for the people that ain't close to. Speak a little something you could toast to. I ain't tryna hear about what you won't do. Moving like I'm into. Hit the ground running like the rent do. Speak a little something that you're into. I ain't tryna hear about what you been through. Like hold up, say what's the hold up. I got the pack, who got the roll up? I'm tryna pull up. It seem like every time I show up, it gotta go up. See the drip, they see the glow up. Oh, now they know us. See, it's funny how my pockets out of shape, but I fit for the flex. Clear the phone call, hit my chick with a text. Parlay through the bird with my drip from the jets. Save a couple hundred by your with the rest. I prefer my reefer with Henny and Coke. Please don't be stingy, got plenty to smoke. Show up and act up and back to the crib. I do not stun, I just rap what I live. Seem like they doing the most for the clout. Did what I said so they know what I'm about. Show up and act up and back to the crib. I do not stun, I just rap what I live. Ay, winning like I ought to. I ain't wanna do it, but I got to. Smoking what my doctor told me not to. Got these wishing they was hot too. Ballin' like I need to. Got my exes wishing for a redo. Smell the marijuana when I speed through. Hit her with a tip, that's a preview. Hold up, wait up, get your weight up. Shit, get your money, not your hater. Boy, draw a play up. I flip my wrist, a layup. She wanna lay up. I gotta get it, I'ma stay up. I'm all the way up. I got my pay up. I ain't playing with you. I'm a coach now. Commentating, do the most now. I be somewhere booted with my toes down. Made little baby tooted with her nose down. I prefer my reefer with Henny and Coke. Please don't be stingy, got plenty to smoke. Show up and act up and back to the crib. I do not stun, I just rap what I live. Seem like they doing the most for the clout. Did what I said so they know what I'm about. Show up and act up and back to the crib. I do not stun, I just rap what I live.
me. Yeah, for Drake. Get up here.
Ready? All right. So first question, first name, last name. Can you spell it out for us?
Michelle Griggs, MICHELL, GRIGGS.
Awesome, but no E at the end of Michelle, correct? All right. Tell us about, first off, reaction to what's happened today. First thoughts.
Oh, man. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Yes. Victory. Yes. Victory. Yes. Finally, I can breathe. Yeah. 7 years I've been holding my breath. I can breathe. I can breathe. I can breathe.
Yeah. I saw you after your victim statement that you looked at Tim Norman. Tell me why you needed to do that, or what is that feeling when you were up there?
Because if I got to do life, he's going to do life. Yeah. And I want him to know that I know that he did from the beginning. Andre told us. He told me. He said, Mom, if anything happened to me, Uncle Tim did it. And he still gave me respect by saying Uncle Tim. So that's what that was. To let him know I see you. I've been seeing you for the longest. So.
Tell us about just, were you thinking it was going to be a life sentence, or were you worried that potentially it would have been less?
I wasn't worried. I knew God was in control. And I knew that he was going to get what he's supposed to get. And he got exactly what he deserved.
I know it will never bring your son back, but do you feel in a way your son also said about, from the beginning, you were the one calling, persisting, hoping to get that justice? Does today feel like you got justice?
Yes. Justice was served. Justice was served. Yes. Our justice for our Andre, he got justice. He's not a statistic. It's a well-known fact that he got his justice.
Anything else you want to add, or anything that you would think Andre would be thinking of this moment?
Thank you, God. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, brother. Thank you, aunties. Thank y'all for trusting and believing in me and seeing it through and not letting him get away. He did not get away. God made sure of that.
Anything else y'all want to add or include?
Family, thank you for all the supporters. Thank you for everybody who's been following the story from A1, day one. We thank y'all. We thank y'all very much. Thank you again.
Any word on the foundation?
It's still in the making. And as soon as I know, I'll be sure to let everyone know for their support. Thank y'all again. I appreciate it.
Any actually last words that you want to say if you've had a chance to talk to Tim? What would you say?
Why? I never get the answer. I can always think and feel, but I'll never know really why, other than what's been presented in court.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I know there's an array of emotions, and I really appreciate the moment, the time.
Showtime!
All right. I am here. Hey, Alice. We popped in at the same time. What is up, good people? Let me know that you can hear me by typing in the chat victory, or a mother's love, or Michelle Griggs is a powerful woman. I know that is a long one, but because she has definitely proved that she was not going to let the world forget about her baby, Andre Montgomery, and she brought that iller to justice because of her hands and her diligence, refusing to let that evil monster get away with what he got away with for almost 7 years up until recently. So March 14th, which is just a couple days away, is the unfortunate commemoration of the day that Andre's life was taken. So bittersweet to have justice literally right before this moment, before that memory of that horrible time. But also hit that like button. And I'm like, I played that clip and y'all, I was like trying to push back the tears. I'm like, oh Lord, maybe I shouldn't be watching that clip of earlier today. That was, for those of you who don't know, that was actually earlier this afternoon, right after Tim's sentencing, that Michelle Griggs and the Griggs family did the press conference. And yeah, each time I'm like, that was like the fourth time I've seen it, and I was there, and it's still it's still, yeah, it's like every time it brings me to tears. Definitely hit that like button if you have not as of yet. I will be checking the likes, and I will be taking breaks until we get the likes where they need to be, because this is that's your ticket. This is, this is a work. It's a passion project for sure, but those likes are greatly appreciated, but also very needed for the success of this channel. So I appreciate that in advance, and also subscribing. Real quickly, you saw the commercials on your way in, the Patreon, the Facebook group, all that. I added that into the countdown, so I don't have to spend a lot of time talking about that. Hopefully you saw it, got the information. I'm going to have the Zelles and all that good stuff scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And here we go, that one right there. And lastly, before we get right into it, our community guidelines. I didn't do them last night, and didn't realize I needed to. I saw my wonderful moderators taking care of that. But just as a reminder, no curse words are allowed in the chat, none. Please do not type the words ill with a K, or the M word. And if you accidentally do it or on purpose, our purpose-driven moderators would be more than happy to delete that comment for you and put you on timeout if necessary, and help you find a new home, YouTube home, if it's a repeat offense, if they feel like it's purposeful. Also, this is my virtual home, therefore real life rules apply here of how to interact. You guys are pretty good. We don't have those kind of issues. The moderators take care of that. I don't even see it, to be honest. So just be respectful of everyone involved in this community. Also, it's okay to disagree, but disagree without being disagreeable or name calling, things of that nature. Please don't be mean or insult anyone in this community, in that chat, or the host. Okay, so we can get into it. One other update, as you saw the commercial for our Reality Chronicles, our new true crime channel, definitely subscribe to that. It is in the chat. I put it in the chat. I'm put it there again. It is in the chat, our Reality Chronicles crime channel, and we will be going, I'm going to be doing a live stream over there next week, and subscribe now so you'll be aware, you'll get the notification. But Travell Anthony Hill's transcripts for his sentencing hearing are officially in. And so I have them already. I downloaded them last week. So we will go through them. We will do a live stream over on the new channel for that. And we'll do it the way that we do it. So look forward to that, and subscribe over there so you'll know when, because I don't know the exact date, but it'll be one day next week for sure. Also, as far as what occurred today, there's going to be more media coverage, national media coverage, when it comes to this, the trial with Andre Montgomery and Tim's sentencing and all of that. ABC Dateline was actually there, a representative from there, and he was talking to people. And so expect that there should be some coverage on that. And I was so happy to see that. I think Alice is having issues, technical issues. So excuse that if it keeps, well, it's popping up, I can see, but that's what's happening. Alice is trying to help backstage and having issues. But anyway, let's get into it. So as you know from the many outlets covering it and YouTubers, today there were as far as YouTubers are concerned, we had Chronicle Speaks, myself and Jay So Extra from Today's Celebrity News. Jay is in the blue shirt, and Chronicle is in between us, and then me on the end, if you didn't know. But anyway, they were there again today, and they've been covering it, and they will have more in-depth recorded videos on it as well. And so you pretty much know that Tim was convicted on 3 felony counts: conspiracy to commit murder for hire resulting in death. He got a life sentence for that. Murder for hire resulting in death. He got convicted for life for that one. And the third count was conspiracy to commit mail-in wire fraud that was related to the insurance scam of it, the life insurance policy. And he got 240 months for that. So he had a life sentence, because I could see from comments in various places where I was just browsing that there's some confusion. So life for Tim in Missouri equals 36 years. So it would be 36 years for count 1, 36 years for count 2, 240 months for count 3. However, with these this sentence, he will be serving them concurrently. So that means not serve 36 years and then he got another 36 years. He's serving the 32, all three of them all together. So the total amount of time Tim would basically be 81 years old when he is able to be released. And at that point, he will then, well, if he makes it, he will he'll then have probation. I'm sorry, my brain's shutting down on me. He'll have probation, and it was a 5-year probation for, I think, the life sentence, and 3-year probation. So it should have been like a total of 8, but I think he's just doing the 5 years because I think that's running concurrent to something that Judge Ross was saying. But anyway, so that's that. So that's the official part of this. Now let's get into the other stuff. So also in the press conference, part of our interactions with the Griggs family is, of course, and you can't see it because my chair is so low, but I have on today my Justice for Andre, or Justice for Dre t-shirt, which was gifted to us by Michelle Griggs and the wonderful Griggs family, as well as today when you saw her hugging us in the clip I played earlier in the beginning, she actually gave us all this commemorative medallion or coin. And let's see. Oh yeah, good. Y'all can see it. So it's really heavy too, y'all. So she, hold on. Somebody had muted me. Okay, I think we're good. So she gave us this coin, and then it's really heavy, and then that's the back of it. I also took a picture and put it in our Facebook group and somewhere else. But anyway, if you want to see it, go to our Facebook group if you want to see it again. So let's get into the trial. So picture this. I arrived at court somewhere around 9:30 this morning. As I was going through the security line, because remember, we have to go through security and all of that. When I was going through the security line, I ended up, I don't know why I always end up coming in with people who are key parts of this, of these hearings or trials, but I end up being right behind Tim's attorney, Michael Leonard. I was about to forget his name. Michael Leonard, and let me put his picture. And I'm like, gotta pull pictures this time for y'all. Michael Leonard and the co-counsel, Gloria Rodriguez. So both of them were in the security line in front of me. They didn't really acknowledge me. I'm sure he's seen my commentary on him. There was no interaction really, but no dirty looks or anything. But we all, we parted ways. We went, in our respective directions, and then I went up to the courtroom. And so, I forgot my glasses are in the car, so don't be like, where your glasses? They in the car. And all I got is the sunglasses up here because that's what I wore, had on, and forgot to switch in the car. But yeah, the t-shirt is beautiful, April. So I'm gonna struggle a little bit. It is what it is, and I might put these sunglasses on when I read the comments. We have our moderators in the back, Alice Blessed Child of God and Precious G. So they'll be starring comments throughout this. And what I'll do is, at the end of once I get through reading, doing the recap, then I'll go through the comments and answer any questions. So if you have questions, you can be putting them in now, and then our wonderful backstage singers, aka moderators, they'll start them for me to read later. And thank you in advance for everyone who's sending cash apps and super chats and all that. I'll acknowledge those at the end as well. All right, so let's get into it. What I noticed today when I got to the got in the courtroom, there were a lot of people from the trial. So people from the public who had been coming through the trial, who really some of them hadn't been there for the other sentencing hearings. They actually came for Tim's hearing. And I saw also it was a group of some of the FBI agents who were also a part of the case, though some who had been there every day of the trial, and a couple who had actually been witnesses. There was one who was an analyst, the FBI agent who is the actual person who arrested Tim at his home in Mississippi, the one that Tim was saying, Tim said took his phone, without a warrant and all this other stuff. So he was there. So it was just officials in there originally, and people from the public. And then when we get to the people of note that you guys will be interested in, the Montgomery family started to walk in, and the first person to walk in was Monique's daughter, and I always forget her name. So somebody put Monique's daughter's name in the chat, and I'll glance down at the live chat and say her name. But she walked in first. She pretty much looks the same. She's a grown woman now, I think, but she pretty much looks the same. And then Janice, I didn't bring her Naya. Thank you, Matria. Naya, Monique's daughter, she came in. Then Janice, they kind of came in at the same time, but they went separate ways. So I don't know. I think they were together, like came together, but they sat in different areas. Janice, who is Miss Robbie's sister, she appeared. Then Monique came in a little bit behind them, a minute or two behind them. And Monique actually spoke to us. She acknowledged us because we sit in the back, of course, in the media area, like the back row. But she actually turned and acknowledged us. And she didn't have, she could have just walked past us, and it wouldn't even seem like shade because we're kind of hidden in the corner. But she literally spoke. She was the only one who spoke, but she spoke. So, hey, hey, Monique, loved you on the show. Hope y'all get a reboot or something. But and then the Griggs family came. And so the Griggs family, it was hard. I've just had problems with my eyesight today, y'all, and ended up with my darker sunglasses in the courtroom. So I couldn't see. So I couldn't tell who all was with the Griggs family today. But here they are. So we had Aunt Karen. Aunt Sharon is Michelle's sister as well. The one who basically, they look almost like twins. And then Mama Griggs. And then I forgot to get the young lady on the end's name, and then Darren, and Karen is the one who is the one on the end, to the it'll be our right of Michelle. She's the one who is in the clip of my plot timeline video. She's the one who's speaking about how she came to visit Andre here in St. Louis, and he was living a couple doors down from Tim's penthouse apartment, but he was living in a studio efficient apartment, basically just with, as she said, with a rusty stove and Salvation Army furniture and stuff, hand-me-down stuff. So that's who were in appearance. And as you see, they have on our Justice for Dre shirts. And then, when the family, some of note I put here was when the Griggs family walked in, the investigators that I mentioned, they were sitting on the Griggs side of the courtroom, and they ended up hugging them. They all hugged individually, which I thought was really, really cool. I had never seen them interact like that. So that through this tragedy and through this experience and all of this time, they have built, a level of a relationship, because these people were key in helping Michelle Griggs and the Griggs family get the justice that they deserve. She pushed. She finally got the right people to listen, and those people worked with her to get us to this day. And so this is beautiful seeing that. So much support. Then Tim Norman himself, they walked over so he came through the prisoner entrance. Remember, that's towards the front of the courtroom in the corner. And that's the side of the court that I was on. So we saw them, the marshals going over to the door. So we're like, oh, Tim about to come through. So sure enough, after a minute or so, Tim ends up coming through. Tim was shackled and handcuffed. He looked basically just like this, just darker skinned and wider hips. But Tim had on a bright orange jumpsuit, but I really feel like Tim actually had it wasn't the jumpsuit, it was the shirt and the pants separate, but it was definitely bright orange like this. And Tim appeared pretty much like he looked at court. What we agreed on was Tim in Titanic hips. But what we agreed on was Tim's face had gotten a little fuller because he looked very gaunt during the trial. Like, I think that's stress because he was hoping he would get off. Now he's settled into like, well, like I ain't getting off, so I guess I can start eating again. But he wasn't big. Like, he's smaller. Tim was about the size of when the show first started. Maybe even a little smaller than that. Like, you remember 7+, well, whatever, over a decade ago when the show first started, Tim wasn't as thickums as he became over time. So he looked like that. He looked healthy. He actually just looked healthy. Whereas during the trial, although he was slimmer, he looked unhealthy too. His face just looked gaunt, like sunken cheeks and stuff. You could see the stress on him. He was shackled. His feet were shackled and his hands were shackled to his, I guess they have the chain belt handcuff thing. I ain't in law enforcement. I don't know what you call it. Y'all know what y'all call it. Some of y'all know. But he had one hand was shackled to that chain around his waist and the other hand was free. So they like, well, we ain't gonna let you be free because we ain't taking no chances. So so he used that hand to like pull out his chair and he sat down and all of that. Then once Tim came in, it was almost like somebody gave him a cue or something, like, okay, Tim is walking in, y'all come in too. But they came in totally, they came in the main entrance where everyone else, the public and where we all come in. Tim came through the prisoner's entrance in the front of the courtroom. But it literally, as soon as he came in and sat down, they started walking through. And I was like, oh, they must have got a cue. So as the Montgomery family filed through, now I don't have no pictures of them today because when they came out, I happened to be getting coverage of, I think, Michael Leonard. Somebody was speaking. So I was actually just recording someone's news conference. So I was told later that I missed them during that time. But they filed out at the end. They walked out of the court building scurrying along the side like mice. I need to stop. Let me not start with the shenanigans. Let me stop. But that's what they, mice run along the baseboard. They don't walk out in the open. So you scurried along the side of the building and then went the long way towards their cars, towards the parking lot. So no interaction, and none of that. They just left. I said here that Miss Robbie came in. I almost missed her because, again, I don't be as focused, because it'd be so long. I'll be forgetting what I need to be paying attention to. Miss Robbie comes in. She has on a blue medical mask, but it's really low. It was almost like, Miss Robbie, just take that off. Like, we know who you are for one, but for two, it was like it was hanging. So I think it wasn't just even here. Some people will put it below. It seemed like it was more like here. I was like, why is it on your face? But she had it hanging down. I love you. Well, I still love you, Miss Robbie. But she had her mask hanging down. She had on a black bomber jacket, but it was like, it wasn't leather, but it was very shiny. It was, everything she wears looks very expensive. But I couldn't see everything else because, again, I looked up at the last minute. But what I did notice was her hair be tight, y'all. Her wigs be tight when she be coming. This one today, I thought I remember seeing a picture with it. So I had thought I was just going to go right to a picture of it. And then when I started looking at these pictures, I'm like, oh, I can't tell if it was this one, or this one. So the wig was, I think it might have been this wig, but it seemed darker. But it could be the lighting in this picture that makes this seem lighter than what it is. I don't know. But it was long length like this. It was kind of curly. But to me, in person, it looked about this color. But The curls look to me more like that. So I don't know. It was one of those. It was a combination of those looks. That was the wig today. Tight. The wig was tight. It was. She looks very like, what we call it. I'm old school, so I call it a jazzy old lady. So she looks like a jazzy old lady. But what you can see is that Miss Robbie literally, it's so sad because it seems like she's aged since his arrest. Like it's been accelerated. So even to me, since the trial, she seems a little slower, a little frailer. It's sad. It's sad. It's heartbreaking for me to see. So let me see what else. Yeah, because that was about all I caught with her. So who else was with her? And they came in kind of like as an entourage, almost as usual. JR was there. Damn, I forgot to pull this picture in. But y'all remember Tim's friend JR, who was on the show for the first 2 seasons until rumor is Tim got jealous because JR was getting more popular and he was more entertaining on the show. So Tim kind of wrote him off the show. So we saw him like the first 2 seasons, never heard from him again, but they've been friends the whole time. Tell me how that works. But reality TV. So and Michelle from the show, cousin Michelle, she was there. She had on a medical mask. Well, she had on a mask, like face mask. I can't remember if it was the traditional medical looking one. No, I feel like it wasn't for sure. But anyway, she had on a mask, but we know what you look like, Michelle. But hey, Michelle, loved you on the show as well. Mr. Bussy appeared as well. I feel like this one lady, she looks so familiar. I feel like she was that business manager who worked in the office at the Sweetie Pie's upper crust location that we saw on the show occasionally. But then there were, some other people that you guys would not know. There was this one guy, I don't even know why I'm mentioning because I can't I wouldn't be able to find a picture of him, but I feel like he was on the show towards the last few seasons. He looked very familiar and he definitely knew the family, but he didn't come in with them. He was there before them. So I don't know, but he was there as well. So I feel like that was another one of Tim's friends. So in total, there were about 13 people with the Montgomery family. But those are the ones that I actually wrote down. Okay, so then Judge Ross, pretty much immediately once they file in, Judge Ross then calls the court to order. He comes out. Judge Ross begins to read the docket of the timeline of events. So he says, on July, blah, 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 of this date, Tim Norman was indicted and we had a conference on this date and this happened. And he just kind of went through that timeline. Things are happening so quick, y'all. I swear, I think I wrote down you know what? If Tim appeals, when Tim appeals this, we'll be able to get the transcripts on this too. So we will have the details because I couldn't keep up. This is so much harder. The sentencing hearings are so much harder than the trials because, like I stated before, I don't get the breaks between questions that you get when there's a trial and people are being questioned and the lawyers or the attorneys have to think of their next question or read something before they ask something else or show evidence and all that. And that gives me time to catch up to what I was right. I don't have none of that time. It's just people just talking. So did the best I could. So anyway, he went through that. All while he was doing that, Tim was just looking straight ahead. He had to look like to the side to see the judge. So he was just looking the whole time. My perspective of the front of his face, it was the same as I explained with Terica. I could only see the side and back of their heads just because of the position I was sitting in. So I couldn't see his facial expressions. I could just see a little bit of body language from the torso up, really the shoulders up, and the head movement. That was it. Judge Ross then starts to speak of Tim's emergency motion to delay sentencing because he's trying. I feel like Tim was like, if I could just hold you up from saying it, Judge, maybe some kind of way we can figure out how to get me out of this. Like, just please don't say it. We know it's happening, but don't say it. So he was just doing whatever he could to try to delay it. So Judge Ross gave the 3 points, and I only caught the third one. Because the government had objected to 3 points, and then that's all I had. I couldn't keep up with it. Says, let me see what I was writing here. So this is what that was about. So, tricks and stunts. I did I write it here? Wait, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Now I ain't gonna say it here. But anyway, so supposedly there's an objection because there is a mysterious new witness who is related to the situation between YL and Tim. So supposedly, now this ain't me, don't throw no tomatoes at me because I'm just repeating what was said. Supposedly, during YL's and Tim's interactions and dealings, while doing the insurance policies or whatever, there was another party, unknown, unspoken party, who was privy to what was going on. And they're saying with that had that person testified during the trial way back in September, like, do y'all realize we're in March of the following year? But way back in September, had they testified, YL would not have been charged. And so therefore, Tim would also not be charged, at the very least, with the mail and wire fraud piece, the insurance crime part of it. That's their claim. So Tim's attorney says he feels like with this person, YL would have not been convicted. So the government, so Judge Ross, he then addresses the government and say, what y'all got to say about this? They already know about this and they've done some, rebuttal back and forth, but this is like making it official in front of the court. Because Tim is hoping, Tim's attorney, Michael Leonard, is hoping that they can just hold up this whole process and be like, y'all thought VellB thought he was going to report on this today and it ain't happening. Like, it was like, that's what they was hoping for. Judge Ross is smarter than that. He's like, it ain't happening. So the government denied the allegations and then objected to it and was like, we just need to continue. Because what they were saying was, Judge Ross said what they were alleging was new information for one. He said it is basically, and these are my words, but he said basically it's gossip. Supposedly somebody said that YL said that somebody was involved in something. Somebody said, and now the court is supposed to hold up this whole process because somebody said, oh no, y'all didn't know about that. Oh no, he had told me this. Hold up this whole process. Don't give justice for Dre yet. What? So Judge Ross said the information lacks reliability because it's some he said, she said ish. He says the time, and I love Judge Ross because he's shady, but he does it very professionally. He says, and the timing is extremely suspect because it is. It's stunts and tricks. Stunts and tricks. Ross says that Judge Ross then says, I've already delayed this part of it, this sentencing hearing. This was supposed to happen in December. He said there have been other things that have happened along the way that's caused him to push back and do continuances and reschedules and all of that. So he's like, basically, I've been working with y'all. Like, I've been dealing with this BS, and this is the last day. I'm ready to move on to something else. I've been working with y'all. And he says, on top of that, it's double hearsay, and rumor. And then he said it doesn't raise something. And again, he was talking so fast, I put doesn't raise, and it was some more words, and I don't know what else. He says, then he goes in. He's like, and on top of this, let me talk about y'all sloppy work during this process of the trial. How about this? So then he reminds them that they didn't even subpoena YL until the first day of the trial. Y'all remember that, right? Y'all remember, I can't wait to read this transcript with y'all, but y'all remember during the trial how I told y'all that we were like into week 2, I think, when they was like, Tim's attorneys was like, wait, y'all ain't gonna call YL? We thought y'all was gonna call YL. we was gonna cross-examine him. Oh, y'all didn't have him on the list? Oh, ish. We needed him. And so Judge Ross is like, that's on you. Like, if you want witnesses, you don't depend on the other side to call them. You make sure you put them on the roster to be subpoenaed and all that. So versus them doing all of that prior to the trial. They trying to do it during the trial. YL was like, nah, no thanks. I ain't doing it. Like, I've made my plea deal and I ain't trying to get no more trouble. So I ain't got nothing to say to y'all. I plead the fifth. And wasn't answering the door. But yeah, he was going to work every day. I don't know what was happening with that, because it seemed like they could have got in touch with him if they really want. But they end up getting in touch with his attorney. YL's attorney then told them, hey, all I got to tell you is, for one, y'all ain't served him yet, so it's a moot point until you can serve him. But for two, even if you are able to serve him, I'm letting you know now he's going to plead the fifth. It ain't going to work for y'all. And so that's what, they end up kind of leaving that situation alone. So, yeah. So Judge Ross mentioned that big failure on their part. He also said, let me see. Oh, he also said that on top of, because now Tim's side is trying to say, no, see, what happened with him and YL, that wasn't no crime. See what happened when we got a witness. See, you got to hold this up so we can bring in that person. Then Judge Ross is like, on top of that, in July, when YL pled guilty, he attested to the fact that him and Tim committed the crime of mail and wire fraud with the fraudulent insurance policies. Like, YL said it himself. YL didn't say, no, I'm not guilty. YL said, no, I'm guilty. We did this ish together. Yeah, we did. So it don't matter what this hearsay person got to say, because the person you claiming would get off has pled guilty and described what the F happened. And we got text messages. Quit playing in our face. Quit playing in our face. Anyway, so then Judge Ross repeated the fact that that this information coming out at the 11th hour seemed very suspect. So then Judge Ross addressed Tim's acquittal motion. Y'all heard about that as well. Tim was asking for an acquittal. Like, y'all, I keep telling this is Tim telling the court, I keep telling y'all made a mistake. I'm not supposed to be in this situation. I always get away with everything. So this your last chance. Give me an acquittal. So Judge Ross then reminded Tim that Tim and his attorneys, that he said that the jury voted unanimously to convict on all three counts. So there was no confusion. We didn't have a hung jury. We didn't have one person holding out. We didn't have all of them was like, no, they're guilty. Like all of them, unanimous. So for one, there was no confusion. Obviously, they weren't confused. He says, in addition, Judge Ross says he didn't believe that there were any errors made on the behalf of the court during this trial. I agree with you, Judge Ross. I didn't see not a nan mistake. He says, so the motions, so he said basically the motions were denied, and we will continue with this sentencing hearing. So stay your ass right there in that chair, because this is about to go down. So then Judge Ross addresses Tim. He tells Tim that he's going to talk to him and ask him questions, but he informed Tim that you have the option of not answering these questions that I'm going to ask you if you choose not to. So then he goes on to ask Tim the same questions he's asked all of them, like, are you basically in your right mind? Do you understand what is happening right now? He asked Tim, was Tim on drugs? Tim, said no. He said, then he goes on to say, he said, and now he's never said this to any of the other defendants. He says, you were represented by many attorneys during this process. I was like, he was. I mean, he was changing attorneys like draws in the beginning. He said, but he was with attorney Gloria Rodriguez for a little over a year before Michael Leonard joined. And so he said, Jesus, am I writing? Jesus, y'all. Ooh. But he said in that time, so he was basically acknowledging through this whole what's been 2 years that this process, the getting to the trial was 2 years. He said through that process, he understands because Tim has had many attorneys changing them like draws, that there could be some issue with that, meaning, you know, everybody being on one accord and understanding what happened and having all the information, etc. So he was making clear, trying to make sure. He asked Tim, had he had the ability to meet with his attorneys and communicate everything to them and get them everything that they needed through this process. Because what Judge Ross is setting up for is this appeal for Tim to not be using it. So that was probably by design too, y'all. All this changing of the guards with the attorneys, because all of this smoke and mirror stuff that he can do, he can later say, see, what had happened was I wasn't represented well because Michael Leonard came in at the tail end, and he didn't get that piece of discovery from the other side, and that would have vindicated me. All of that. He's taking all kind of angles, y'all. Master manipulator, but it don't work with the federal court system. So he asked him if he also asked him, were you satisfied with the service you received from your attorneys? Again, Judge Ross is getting all this on record. So when he's appealing, these are the things you can't now be saying. Well, I was never satisfied with my attorneys. They didn't really represent me correctly. I'm a struggling black man who was just trying to steal some chicken. Like, he can't do none of that. Well, he could try it, but now it's on record that he said he was satisfied with the service, that his attorneys, he went over everything with them. They, got all the information they needed, et cetera, and they were on one accord and all of that. I was like, but this is the funny part, because I thought this is how it was like, this is tricks and stunts. Because why are you saying you satisfied with your attorneys, the service of your attorneys today? But if y'all remember correctly, towards the end of the trial, last day or two, Tim was trying to fire his attorney. Remember? He held us up to fire his attorney. But now you're satisfied. Shouldn't you still not have been? Shouldn't you say, no, I'm not really, because I tried to fire him and y'all wouldn't let me? Wouldn't this be the time to say that? But he said he was satisfied, because you always was satisfied. You was trying to pull a stunt and trick during the trial. He'd been reading he got a lot of time to read books of how to, swindle and all that jail talk, and people saying, dude, what you need to do is try to fire your attorney at the, during the trial, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. If that don't work, then, I'll tell y'all what else he did. He did some most ish. Oh my God, it's so much. He pulled some most stunts during today. Okay. And so I wrote here that Miss Robbie was on the front row. She was on the front row in the middle, and she had like a perfect view of Tim, like they could look at each other or whatever. Again, but I'm looking at completely at the back of her head, and she was far over. So I couldn't see anything that she was doing. I'm sure everybody's happy that people involved are happy. I couldn't see. So then Judge Ross started talking about the sentencing guidelines and that whole procedure, and he informed Tim that his charges of the conspiracy to commit murder for hire. Good Lord, I think I said it earlier, didn't it? I think I said the full words. But anyway, those conspiracies to commit for hire automatically came with life sentences. There's no negotiating right there. That's just what the sentencing guidelines say. Is autopilot. That's default. So he was like, I'm making that clear. Like, we already know what's happening. We already know what I'm gonna say at the end of this. He asked him if he had an opportunity to go over the pre-sentencing report with attorneys. Then Tim said yes. Then Judge Ross started to address the objections that were presented in the report. So that document is out. I didn't get a chance to do a video on that because, again, I was trying to get y'all the timeline plot video. That was a lot of work. So maybe we'll go through that. Yeah, I don't know if okay, I'll still read this here, but so there were 10 objections. I'm gonna summarize these for y'all. 10 objections to the pre-sentencing. The other, so Travell had this, YL had this, and Terica had this, and I swear none of them had more than like 3 or 4 objections, and they, if that. So Tim was, remember, there was discussion of his education. So he wanted them, they had said he only completed high school, I want to say. He said that or ninth grade, I think it was. He wanted them to know that he wanted them to change it to say that he had completed some college, because education can play, your level of education can play a role in the sentencing guidelines, like where you fall in there. It's a consideration. However, in the case of Tim, with this conspiracy and for hire thing, it don't matter. You're getting life no matter what. So give it up. Don't matter. So Judge Ross was like, we did correct that to say some college, but he said it was a moot point. Like it was pointless, but we did it. We're going to play this game with you. He then says, talked about the recharacterization of Tim's relationship with Terica, because they were saying, I've forgotten now the wording, but I think they were saying love interest or something, or relationship. And he was like, no, it was only a sexual relationship. Like, I don't want y'all saying that we was involved, because it was just sex. I'm like, okay, if that makes you feel better about your life. They corrected that. Again, how that helps this at all, lightens your sentence, I don't know. Then there was some discussion about the life insurance policy, because I haven't read this document in full myself yet, so I can't remember. I don't know the details to even regurgitate it, and all I got is my notes right here of what was stated today. So it was something about the insurance policy. It was overruled, some wording or something about that. The testimony during the trial. Let me see. So they had an objection to some of the testimony during the trial. It was specific paragraphs that they said were not accurately supporting what occurred during the case. Judge Ross was like, get out of here with that. Get out of there. Get out of here with that. We know what we're doing over here, and what we wrote was true. Then he spoke. Number 5 was the enhancement to sentencing. So let me see. I'll just say what's here. So Judge Ross was saying it had no impact because the sentencing guidelines were mandatory. So again, life means life. You fall in the life category. I'm sorry, the charge you have fits the life category. That's it. There's no negotiating with that. So this, again, the enhancement don't matter. You're getting life. Ain't no enhancement on life. So this was good too. This is another read, another shady moment from Judge Ross. So he says, on top of that, I ain't looking, even if this enhancement, even if I were to consider taking off the enhancement to the sentencing based on Tim's prior record, I wouldn't do it, because he said Tim gave false testimony and conflicted with the evidence that he was charged with. And basically now, in addition, was being charged with obstruction of justice, because Tim and Judge Ross, he elaborated more. Can't wait for us to get these transcripts, because he was saying Tim voluntarily, he said, during the trial, Tim had the option to testify on his behalf or not speak at all. And basically he was saying he shouldn't have spoke, but he chose to speak. And not only did he choose to testify, but he got up there and testified. And because of that, we're adding obstruction to justice to his charges, because he got up there and lied when he could have sat his ass down and just said nothing. He dug a deeper hole. We knew that anyway, y'all, though. We already knew. I'm happy he got up there. I don't know about y'all. That was good-ish. That was beautiful, because we ain't really got much from him since then. So that if that was his last hurrah, I'm happy with it. Thank you, Tim Norman. Thank you. I needed that. I needed that comic relief. So I'm happy he got up there, but in getting up there, this Negro got an obstruction of justice charge for lying. Sorry. Oh, I could have cracked up in the court at that point today. I was chuckling inside so hard. So I finally just got it out. Oh my God, he deserved it. Okay, so number 6 was accept the responsibility for his prior convictions. So Michael Leonard, Tim's attorney, was saying also basically he should be given credit because this is a man who will admit his wrongdoings. Because of the fact of his prior charges, he actually pled guilty. See, he's an honest man. He did those crimes and he admitted to them. I guess we're supposed to ignore the fact that he did this crime too and didn't admit to this one? Like, what? So he wanted him to basically give, he wanted credit. He wanted credit. He wanted a sticker for that. Like a little stick on his forehead to be like, what? You was honest back then, so we give you a little credit for that. What? This is good. And I got to do some digging. Some of y'all might know, and if you know, please put it in the comments because y'all know after the live, I'll watch this back because I can't see all your. It's a lot of comments, so I don't see them during these lives. Most of them I miss. But anyway, I want to know if you know anything about this pending case. So Tim has an active pending case in addition to this. In Jesus, I wrote it down somewhere. Where was it? It was in my notes. Somewhere in Texas, was it? And I don't know what maybe I'll get to it. It's because it's in my notes. I just don't see it right here. I'm probably just overlooking it. But anyway, Tim has a pending case, and Michael Leonard didn't want that case to impact the sentencing. Again, Judge Ross kept going to, he getting life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I haven't officially convicted him of life or sentenced him to life yet, but he's getting life. So these little nuances ain't finna help nothing. But Michael Leonard is still trying. So he talked about the pending. They didn't go into detail at all except for where it was, and it hasn't been tried yet. But I need to find out when, because shit, I might be in Texas. But won't find out about this. So if y'all know anything about this, let me know. If not, I'll do my due diligence and try to figure it out for us. Also, number 8 was, you know what? And in the official document, it's somebody, don't tell me who. Somebody, one of my people friends, just text me and said it's when he punched somebody in the face. So I think that was wasn't that a worker? Okay, they just sent me the link. Okay, good. Thank y'all. Look, I love y'all. So I'll get to y'all and let y'all know when I'm able to look at what they just sent. But he punched somebody in the face. I think it was that employee. What y'all saying down here too? Is that the case for assaulting the employee? Tiana Yvonne is saying that's what I think it is too, because I do remember that. But damn, that was some years ago. I thought that was way over. Maybe he being sued. I wonder if it's civil or criminal. Now, if it was civil, they probably wouldn't even been talking about it today. Yeah, somebody said the Houston restaurant. Okay, so I'm on the same page. The chef. Okay, so when he punched the chef in the, y'all, wasn't that was way even before? So if we wasn't that 3-4 years ago? Okay, so anyway, that we'll get more into that. So I'll be following that as well for y'all. Those stories. So again, all these type of stuff we're covering here on VellB Reacts, related to cases, true crime, and all that. That's moving over to Reality Chronicles. So definitely subscribe to the new channel for that. So I'll follow up on this story. I'll do a video to update us and all that. That's going to be on Reality Chronicles. It won't be on this. So I just put it in the chat again. So definitely go over there and subscribe. Okay, so back to this. Tim is a mess. He's a mess. Okay, and then the obstruction for justice was charge number 9, or the conversation point of number 9. So I told y'all what that was for. I'm going up there to test the line. And then they talked about number 10 was he got 6 additional points in the sentencing as it relates to the sentencing guidelines because of his prior convictions back in 1996. So what I didn't know is it was a 1996 charge and in 1997, and they got him for kidnapping, armed robbery. So basically he had 5 counts. So maybe we'll revisit that. No, but you know, I might not be able to find much on that because he was a teenager. So we'll see. But anyway, they talked about that. Oh, so then Michael Leonard was saying because of those convictions, he got 6 points for those convictions. So attorney Michael Leonard was arguing that Judge Ross should not consider those 6 points because of the fact of how long ago it was, and Tim was a teenager, et cetera, et cetera. Judge Ross's position was, I understand what you're saying, because there's a 15-year grace period. So after 15 years, a prior conviction, at least of that magnitude, doesn't count into your points, or it doesn't get considered. So Michael Leonard's argument was that was more than 15 years ago that he committed those acts. However, Judge Ross's position was, we count the time that he served in prison as well. So it actually, the clock starts once he's served his time. So the clock didn't stop until he served his time. That hasn't been a total of 15 years. So that's going to count. So Michael Leonard was like, okay. He was like, do you understand what I'm saying here? He's like, this is how it works. So we count that. Not when the crime was committed, but once the time was served. That's when the clock starts. So, again, Judge Ross repeated this quite a few times because I got it written a few times. Judge Ross then said, pretty much, no matter what, Tim will fall within the same guidelines for the sentencing totals. So all of this stuff does not affect the calculations, the guideline calculations at all. He's still getting life. Don't matter. So Tim, I just put a note because I didn't have the best view of Tim at all, but then somebody with a big old cone bald head in front of me, but I ain't got to go back so I can say that now. I'm like, get out of my way. I can't see. I'm working here. So not only was I in a bad position, but then I had somebody with a big old bald head in front of me. But at that point, I looked and Tim, he was just sitting back in his chair at that point because all the rest of the time he was kind of sitting up like I am towards the mic. But at that point, he had got just, I think he had given up. He slumped down in his chair a little bit. But I couldn't see his facial expression. So, so Judge Ross then continued to talk about those charges from, I'm sorry, I'm getting text message. Anyway, so Judge Ross then said, that the charges from 1997, he was like on top of that, because Judge Ross is like just pouring salt on the situation. Like, like not only are you not like we not going, we're not going where you're trying to take us. Not only that, but I'm finna really add to it and let you know that I ain't buying your BS. And so Judge Ross got to saying, even if I were to be able to consider this whole, well, the 1996-97 charges and all that, he was a little boy. He was a little youngin'. He didn't know what he was doing. He served his time. He be all good now. He was like, even if I were to consider that, they were such serious charges. Like we're talking robbery and kidnapping and, armed robbery on top of that. And, it was like multiple occasions. So he says, so because of that, like, I still would have left it in there is what he's saying. Like, not only can I not remove it because of this whole time frame thing, but the truth is, even if I could remove it, I wouldn't. I love Judge Ross. So then we get to number 11. So number 11, I said it was 10, but it was 11 I got here. 11 was Attorney Michael Leonard was saying that he also didn't agree to when Tim is released when he's 81. When he's released, in Missouri, it's mandatory that with these sort of cases that they get searched upon, like at will. So literally the police can just show up and search his car, his computers, his home at will, just because of the type of conviction that he had. So Michael Leonard was saying that's not, it's very invasive and not fair. And he would have been served all this time. And so Michael Leonard was also saying at the point that Tim will get out, if he make it, by the point he would get out, he would be a senior citizen. And statistically, senior citizens are not criminals. Like they don't fit in that range of being a danger to society. So he's saying it would be unnecessary at that point. Judge Ross then tells him, I mean, you kind of got a point, but this ain't my rule. This is a mandate in the state of Missouri. We do that with all of these sort of cases. So it is what it is. I hear you, but this ain't gonna change either. So, yeah, and then Judge Ross said, based on his current charges, the court will overrule all of the shenanigans, all the foolishness that he just mentioned. So then Judge Ross said that Tim's guideline total was 40, offense level 43. He had the 3 counts we talked about, and then he said, the 2 counts, and then the other one held the mail and wire fraud held the 240 months of maximum time. Then Judge Ross, so remember, with every sentencing hearing we've had thus far, that's been Travell, YL, and Terica, I always tell y'all that there's a break at a certain point. Really, when we get to this point, it's all the template is the same for all of them. When we get to this point is when Judge Ross says that there's a closed conference, a private closed conference with the defendant, convict, defendant, whatever we call them, with them, the inmate, with them out of the sight, out of the view of the public. And that's because they'll ask them more personal questions, might say, are you still on drugs, or just whatever, I don't know. You got VD, like, I don't know, stuff that they might not want the public to know, and they want to be respectful of a person's privacy on some level. So then they excuse all of us out of the courtroom. Like, everyone files out of the courtroom, and the only people who are left in the courtroom are the attorneys and the defendant. So that has occurred every time. I've told y'all that. Well, today, Judge Ross was pretty much like, I can't even remember. I need the transcripts because I was not able to write his words because I was a little shocked. I'm like, I thought he was about to tell us, because he started describing what it is, which he normally does. And I thought then he was going to say, okay, y'all dismissed until we do this. And I figured with Tim, it might take a little longer. So I'm sitting there catching up with other notes. And then he's next thing he know, I know he's like, yeah, but we going to waive that. We ain't doing that today. I'm like, what? We did it with everybody else. It's like, Tim, I don't get this. But he gave a reason, and I didn't catch it because, again, I thought he was dismissing us for a minute. So with that, that's normally when I take our break over here as well, because I do need to take a water break, both ends. So that's TMI, I'm sorry. But anyway, so while I do that, I'm going to play, if I can, play y'all a commercial. Give me a second. This thing is, let me see, messing up. Talk amongst yourselves, but also while you're doing this, get these likes up. I'm gonna check these likes. Yeah, this is the one I want, right? Wait, it's gonna play. But yeah, while I do that, get these likes up and watch this commercial break, and then I will be right back. I'm here, but I'm trying to see what the likes are looking like compared. We literally have 1,100 more people in the comments, well, it watching than what the likes represent. So there are 1,100 people who are watching for free and not even just giving me a like. So I think we need to get another commercial break while these people get these likes up. I'm working hard over here. I'm just asking for a like. That don't cost you nothing. Give me these likes. Let's get the likes up to, I know some of y'all might be driving and stuff like that, so I'm gonna give a little grace, but I would like to see us get to at least 1,600 likes, and then we'll resume with the victim impact statements. I got it here. I'm ready. Are y'all ready? I'm trying not to get in my feelings, and because I'm starting to feel like people trying to pimp me like Tim did Terica. Because I'm like, it's a like. It's a like, and when I watch videos on YouTube, I always like them. I don't know. Well, I guess because I understand the value of that. But yeah, we got 2,100 people viewing, and I think I'll give you a little bit more time. So we're gonna give you another commercial break, and then hopefully I won't feel pimped when I come back. I'm a little closer. I'm still feeling a little used and abused, and I would rather the numbers go down on this live with how much effort I put into this than to sit here and feel pimped. So we can do it either way. But we get 1,600. I'm back. It's just that simple. All right. See y'all. All right, I'm back. All right, I see the likes are coming up. I'm not going to make the Veeple community suffer any longer because I do have my loyal, diehard Veeple community, and I appreciate y'all. And the new people, our new subscribers, I appreciate you as well. But this takes a lot, y'all, a lot. And it's like all I need is a like for y'all to push the video so that YouTube can pay me. I ain't even asking you for the money. Just like it so YouTube push it so I get the views that give me the money that makes this worth it. Because this is a job. This is a job. So anyway, victim impact statement. So we didn't take the traditional break that we would take. Judge Ross was like, not only do you deserve life, but you don't even deserve the respect of us talking in private. So the first person, so Judge Ross then addresses the government, Angie Danis and Gwen Carroll, attorneys Angie Danis and Gwen Carroll. Oh, what did I do with that picture? It's down here. Here we go. Angie Danis and Gwen Carroll. Those are the two ladies in the back. The lady in front was their boss. She wasn't actively participating in the trial. But anyway, Karen Harris was the first person who spoke. Karen is Andre's aunt and Michelle's sister, Michelle Griggs' sister. She walks to the podium. She addresses the court. She's reading from a I can't remember. I think it was a paper. And Judge Ross just asked her to read slowly because he's like, you're reading, so please make sure to read slowly so that the court stenographer can get everything. So she says her name, she spells it, all that. And again, with this, that's why we love. Thank you so much, Why Lie to Me. I love you, friend. Thanks for that. So with this, remember, when they do the victim impact statements, that's why I can't wait for us to do Trevel's transcripts on our Reality Chronicles channel, because now you guys will be able to hear verbatim, word for word, everything they said. So this, again, is me trying to catch. It's like bullet pointed. Aunt Karen said part of each of the family members died when they heard the news of Dre. So not only did he lose his life, but they also lost a part of their life as well. She spoke about how when Andre passed away, and I'm using a nice word because I want to say what he did to him, but we're on YouTube. So when Andre passed away, Karen was saying tons of people reached out to Michelle Griggs with cards and phone calls and messages and emails, and just the outpouring of love was overwhelming. It's so many people showed Michelle Griggs love and support and condolences during that time. All except for one person. Y'all got to guess? Y'all want to guess in the chat who this one person in the world who did not even acknowledge Andre's death when it came to Michelle Griggs? Like, once it was announced, and this is prior to the funeral and all of this, everyone's showing love because that's what you do when a family member passes away. Tim was the only person, who did not reach out. That gets very suspect, because remember, the last time I talked to you, Tim, you was asking me to send my baby to you to teach him how to be a man. How do we go from that to he's gone, and you don't even call me to say, I'm sorry, man, I really wanted so much for his life, and that's why I called you for him, to have him, because I hate we lost him. We wanted so much for him. Maybe he wanted so much from him, including his life. Anyway, she says that Hips did not acknowledge Dre's death. She said, however, on the day of on the show, because remember, Sweetie Pies was still on the air during this time. On the show, days later, he acted like he was concerned, and even took Miss Robbie to the site where Andre was taken, where his life was taken. Y'all remember that episode? That episode's still on their own YouTube channel. They still got that on there. Where you remember he had Miss Robbie in that truck, and they drove, and they were saying how that was the grandma's block, and how Aunt Linda's, right? It's Aunt Linda's. Yeah, Aunt Linda's son was taken. His life was taken like around the corner, and then Tim's father's life was taken down the street, a couple blocks down. All of that. But you didn't even call the mama? You didn't even call her? An email, a text message? Says, she said that Tim being in prison for that 10 years really only taught him how to groom his victims, who eventually became Terica and YL. She didn't say Travell, though. She said a lot of other stuff. She even read a Bible verse, and I should have wrote at least a verse, the call number and everything down. I didn't think to do that. But anyway, and she ended by saying, we ask that he get the max of life as his sentence. Then Darren Griggs spoke, and he said, this is my fourth time up here, meaning fourth time to the podium, because Darren Griggs has gone up there at the podium and spoke each time during this victim impact statement. He says, thank you. He thanked Judge Ross for giving the family time during each of these sentencing hearings to express themselves. He said it more eloquent. I couldn't quote it. He says that this had been that Andre's, M had been a cold case for years, but his mother wouldn't give up. And he then kind of gave a little quick timeline of how no matter what, his mom was like, I'm not giving up. And she was calling everyone. Like she became her own detective, trying to figure out how to get somebody to help to get this solved. And she ended up, the catalyst that got the ball rolling was she ended up calling the 911 office, 911 operator, I guess got in touch with the actual person. And then from there, it led to one of the detectives. And then it led, we know about Operation Legend. And then it led down this road that got us here. But it was through her diligence. So the truth of the matter is that, and that's why I said not only victory, but the strength of Michelle Griggs for her baby, and getting justice for him. Had it not been for her, had she just laid in the bed in a fetal position and cried for these 7 years, Andre's death would not have been solved. It wouldn't have been, because it was a cold case. She wouldn't give up on it, and that's how we got here. So I think that's a word to the wise. That's like that's a takeaway for us, for all of us, and not only tragedies, but just anything going on in our lives. Like, don't give up. like this. Don't give up. Even when people won't give you a like and want to watch. Don't give up. So he also spoke about the FBI team. He said they did a great job. Talked about how, you know, helpful and diligent everyone was. He says basically that the Montgomerys was not his family, but they were Dre's family nonetheless. So I was like, ouch. He was like, I don't own them niggas. I ain't even own it. I don't even claim them. Like usually you kind of claim. We all got play cousins and stuff. He's like, they ain't even my play cousins. He says, not my family, but his family nonetheless. He says, but I guess your family. But he said, but I guess you're only family until you're not. So basically, what he's saying is, once we got to the end of this situation and people had to make a choice between Dre and Tim Hips, they was like, you ain't family. He ain't family. Like all of a sudden, you family until you're not. So Dre not family. He says the $450K that, you know, Tim was trying to get from the life insurance policy. He said the $450K wasn't life changing. True. Like Tim would have ran through that money too. He says, but the truth is, I honestly think you would have did it for free. He says, but I think you decided to get something out of it. I was like, wow, ouch. He said, oh, this part too, y'all. He says he almost Googled how to take somebody's life. He says, but he had too much to lose. So meaning when he knew Tim had did it, and he was like, if we're not going to get justice, now I'm trying to think of how I'm going to do it myself. And he said, I almost Googled how to take somebody's life. But he said, after thinking about it, he was like, I had too much to lose. I had my family, his career, you know, all those sort of things. And he says, and I had a conscience. It's like, ouch. He says, he said they had to sit through that trial for weeks as they lied in court about Dre and his character. That was true. He says Dre was cleared of the burglary that he so-called committed. He says, oh, this was good, y'all. This was good. He says, I can't imagine how they hired a private investigator when they were trying to locate their personal belongings and property. But when Dre passed away, they didn't hire a private investigator to try to figure out who took his life. I was like, Darren, I ain't even think of that. That kind of admits guilt, don't it? Like, that's very telling. You go through a lot of effort and you hire a private investigator. Not saying you shouldn't have when your house gets burglarized. And you can afford to do those sort of things. I'm not saying it shouldn't have happened, but if I'm gonna do it for things, I definitely would do it for my blood, my family. When I have the power and resources, they didn't help. Again, I didn't start this story by telling y'all that the reason this case got solved was because the Montgomerys hired a PI and led us to this point. No, it was because of Michelle Griggs, not through resources given to her. So he said a ton of other stuff, but that's all I got. That's all I got. Sorry. That's all I got. So then lastly, so it was only 3 of them who spoke. So it was Aunt Karen, Darren, and Michelle. I did notice that Dre's siblings were not there. I think part of it is, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, they probably knew this was going to be some foolishness, and emotionally probably was like, I will run across there and strangle his ass. So let me not go. Because I probably would have been like that too. Like, I probably don't need to go because I don't know if I'm able to control myself. So Michelle Griggs gets to the podium. She starts to read and she says, she gave the definition. I abbreviated. I'm like, I can't understand what I'm saying. She gave the definition of greed. So she read the definition of the word greed. And she says, Tim's greed has hurt so many. His mom, Terica, YL. She said she then went to talk. She then went on to express how Dre's personality and how he, was fun loving and loved life and all of that. And she said Dre was loved by many. He was into boxing. He was into horses. I didn't know that part. He was into music. We knew he was into music. And she said he never met a stranger. She said a lot of other stuff. She says she got very emotional at this part. She said, I can't help but wonder what his life would be like. Like, would he be married now? Would he have had children? All the things you would wonder if somebody's your child's life is cut short. And she says March 14th will mark 7 years since she lost Dre. She says she won't be able to tell him. She says that she wasn't able to tell him that he was about to have a new niece. Remember, I told y'all about the baby that they brought to Terica's sentencing. So that was Andre's new baby infant niece. She couldn't tell him about it. He never gets to meet him. And then she mentioned one of his nieces is in dance class now, and she want to tell him that, yeah. She said a lot. She says when Dre died, she was served a life sentence of grief, basically. But she said, I was served a life sentence. And she says, I will sleep well tonight, knowing that Tim will also be serving a life sentence finally. Love that. Oh, I love that. That was a good one, Michelle. That was a real good one. She was staring in Tim's direction the entire time. Now, I wrote this and I saw the reporter when we were outside afterwards. She asked Michelle about her staring at Tim and how she felt and all of that. And then I was thinking to myself, like, dang, I didn't notice her staring at Tim. Like, I think I was so busy writing, but I have it in my notes. So I did notice. My brain be all over the place, y'all. It's a lot. I don't even remember seeing, like, I can't visualize it, but I wrote it. So I obviously was looking or noticed it. Okay. So then Judge Ross, so she said, again, a lot of other things, but then Judge Ross addresses Tim's attorney and spoke about the character witness letters in support of Tim. Now, Judge Ross said that he had many letters of support for Tim, but I was like, I remember it was 10, like 10 of them. So I'm like, maybe they added more because sometimes they'll add more to the docket later. So I'm gonna check. I didn't even think to check before this. I forgot, but I'm gonna check and see if there are any character letters. We're gonna read those, y'all. I was waiting. So we'll read them over on the Reality Chronicles channel. We'll do that next week too. Tim's attorney then walks up to the because now it's being put back in the hands of Tim's attorney to make his final statements basically before sentencing. The actual sentence is given. And so he walks over to the podium and he starts talking about Tim's hard life. Talks about how Tim lost his father at an early age. I'm like, he don't even know the details because Tim wasn't born yet. Tim was 9 months old, not 9 months old, 9 months in utero when his father was, his life was taken. But he said his father's life was taken by firearm. His brother's life was taken by firearms. Basically, he had a rough upbringing. His life was basically very rough until he got out of jail and there was the success of Sweetie Pies waiting on him, basically. So he was saying he had a hard life, and how great of a person that Tim was. And he was, basically alluding to the character witness letters. He said that Tim, he was saying that it's not fair. Now he was crying this a lot. It's not fair. He even said it in I think I got that footage in the live from earlier today, where he was saying that part of their issue with Tim's life sentence is that Tim got more time than Travell. So they're like, his stance is, how does Tim get more time than the person who actually committed the act that took his life? And there's more that's said after this. I ain't gonna go get ahead of myself. he says that even if Tim gets the time that Travell got, so even if Tim got the 32 years, and no, was it 20 years? I don't forget, y'all. Whatever it was, I think it was 20, wasn't it? But even if they were to exchange sentences, he says that Tim would basically age out of the criminal danger age. So basically, he would be a senior citizen either way. Because I think Tim, what is Tim? Maybe 45, y'all now, maybe. I think he said something about anything beyond 25 years doesn't serve a purpose. So he worded it. It was worded very similarly. But what he was saying was, I mean, if you get this man anything over 25 years, he's harmless. He don't need that much time. It's a waste of your time to give him that because he's harmless. What? So we just forget about the crime and just worry about his future. What? What? So I put here a little observation note that at this point, Tim was just staring straight. So with him staring straight, his attorney is now directly in front of him at the podium, but his attorney is facing that way. So Tim is just blank stare. Well, again, I can't see his face, but his head was just straight. Then attorney Gwen Carroll speaks. She's the one with the darker blonde hair in the back, the light gray jacket in the back. She then speaks and she says, I wish I had verbatim, but she says something to the effect that Tim's attorney said Tim shouldn't get more time than Travell. But then she said, but Travell's actions would not have existed without Tim. It's like, mic drop. Like, exactly. Like we're here because of Tim. She says that Tim was one way in public and another behind the scenes. So yes, Tim did present himself as this lovable, guy to some people. It was his public image. But behind the scenes, he was a dark monster to others. So, and she said, on top of that, he then, and she used the K word, Andre, when he thought no one was looking. That's a fact, because the way he had Andre's life taken, he had his life taken on a street that is known for these sort of things. There's been many of, M's on that street. The fact that he tried to build up that Andre was some thug and all of this sort of stuff, like all of that was a part of his plot to like, oh, if he died, it's just another dead Igga, like on the street. And from Kayla's press conference when Tim was convicted back in December, she literally said that those words were uttered during Dre's funeral when they were sitting behind her. Oh, okay. So then Judge Ross, so y'all know, because we've been through this 4 times, as Darren said, after this, then Judge Ross gives them, the defendant, a chance to speak and address the court, address the family, et cetera, et cetera. And everyone has, Travell has, YL has, Cherica did. Tim said, when asked if he wanted to address the court or the family, he says, no, my attorney told me not to speak. I'm like, what? Now we listening to your attorney? Because last time I checked, I'm pretty sure he told you not to speak during the trial to incriminate yourself and and get additional charges for what is it called, y'all? What is it called? Not corruption of justice. Jesus. Oh my God, my brain, y'all. Anyway, the charge against lying. Test the lying. It's not perjury, it was the not corruption of justice. Jesus, what am I? Obstruction of justice charge that he got. He wasn't listening then. What his attorney had, like, now it's too late. You might as well talk now. This is done. Talk. Talk. So Judge Ross then addressed him, and he says, Judge Ross then starts to give his statement. And Judge Ross says, Tim, I think he said Mr. Norman. Mr. Norman, you have an incredibly dark side. He says, this reads, he says the real test of someone's character is how they behave when no one is looking. So he basically saying, I understand all this nice stuff that you claim to have done and people said you've done for them and all of that. And that may be true, but your real test of character is what you did when no one was looking. That's who you really are. I love Judge Ross. He then walked through the timeline of Tim's manipulation of everyone involved. He said that Travell was far from a great witness, but you gave him directives. At least on a level that he knew what he was basically urged to do, and he carried it out. He then started talking about how Tim had, coming from being a teenager who was convicted and spent 10 years in jail, and he said, you got out, and he said, unlike, because he does this for a living, Judge Ross, he sees many people who are convicted, many criminals, and he says, your story was different than the majority, because you got out and your life was able to change. You had a life of privilege that most never experience, and so he's talking about the success of the restaurants and wealth and fame. He was like, you even had fame, notoriety, all of that, and it wasn't good enough. And you took all of that and threw that away for this. So he went on and on. Again, when Tim appeals, we will get the transcripts of that, because that's when they release the transcripts, when they do appeals and stuff. I'll read that more. We'll read that verbatim. But he read them, y'all. He read them. So this is the part where I literally wrote, so I'm thinking, we're about to wrap this up. And so Judge Ross ends up stopping mid-sentence. And he says, I just received an email from Tim Norman. He's like, from last night? He's like, what the hell is happening? Like, we wrapping this up. How am I receiving emails from you? This supposed to be over. And then I wrote here, stunt queen, in regards to Tim. I was like, Tim is a stunt queen. I don't care what y'all say. I'm starting to question some things. As a gay man, I'm starting to question some things about Tim, because this is some stunt queen kind of actions. I was like, this is some gay shit. Some gay shit. So he is not going down without a fight, y'all. And this was a stunt queen move. So, hey, Tim, because I think those rumors are true. So anyway, Judge Ross, y'all, it was crazy, y'all. I was like, just when I thought it was anticlimactic, and this was like over, here comes Tim with like, got another stuff for y'all. Hey. Okay, let me stop. So y'all so silly. So Judge Ross, this is funny. I'm trying to read this part. It's just so funny. Judge Ross asked Tim, he was like, do you want to address the court? Because it's like, why are you emailing me when I'm right here? What's happening? And so Tim's attorney, so Tim then is like, Tim is shocked, like he don't know what to say. And he kind of like, I don't want to say nothing. And then he turns to Michael Leonard, his attorney, because now Michael Leonard is sitting next to him at the little conference table. And he says, Michael Leonard then speaks, and he says, Mr. Norman has been advised not to address the court. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? What happened? He was just addressing the court. He was just answering questions. What? You send something to the judge, and the judge is like, "Could you clarify?" You like, and I can't talk. What? Hey, because she was a stunt queen. Okay, anyway, we're gonna have new people shirts, stunt queen. Anyway, what else we got here? Oh, so then Tim's attorney was like, Judge, can we get a recess? I'm like, what are y'all doing? We are literally, we were 2 or 3 sentences away from Judge Ross saying, and now you get life, and this is what happens, and blah, blah, blah. Like, how we get here? Y'all, the trial is over. Why y'all keep trying to retry this case during the sentencing hearing? What is happening here? So Judge Ross, I like Judge Ross because he allows just enough of the shenanigans to be like, I gave y'all a chance. It ain't like he shuts everything down immediately, where he entertains it just enough where they can't later use this in their oh God, my brain's shutting down, y'all. In the I'm thinking of every word but what I want. The appeal. I'm thinking acquittal or all that. In the appeal, he won't be able to use this in acquittal. Like, oh, he wouldn't even listen to me. He never even asked me what it was about. Blah blah blah. You know, he never acknowledged my email. All of the things that he could later try to pull. So, so basically, Judge Ross is like, I guess the email, from what I gather, is he got the email, but it's happening literally during the sentencing hearing. And he like, I don't have time to read this, soak it in, understand what's happening, and make decisions based on that. So he says, basically he says, it will be, so they have their little recess, Tim and his attorney, they turn into each other, they whispering back and forth. Again, I don't get a good view, so I couldn't tell what was being said or anything. Then basically Tim's attorney says he's not trying to address it. He wants the judge to look at it, but they're not trying to go over it right in that moment, and that he just wants the judge to acknowledge it. And then so Judge Ross is like, okay, well, and I think he asked if it could be docketed, meaning added to this trial. So we have no idea, but because it will be docketed, I'll be able to let y'all know. And so once it's docketed, us YouTubers will be letting y'all know what it was, what email did Tim send. It's probably more of the I'm innocent, like that the FBI, like the Instagram post he sent saying that the feds set him up and they were just trying to make us, doubt his character, whatever foolishness. So then Judge Ross, once we're done with that moment, Judge Ross then continues. He says that the evidence was overwhelming to prove that Tim did all that he was accused of doing. He said a bunch of other stuff. Then he went through the sentencing, the 3 counts. Judge Ross then said, even if he could go lower with the sentence, he would go this route based on the evidence. So he's saying, even if I wasn't required to give you life based on the first 2 charges alone, I would give you life. I just want you to know that. I just want you to take that with you. Let that marinate. I did right here. The Fort Bend County, Texas pending case. I knew I had it somewhere. So that's got to be the case I'll look up, and it's probably the one where he punched the chef. That's going to be interesting too. So anyway, that's when Judge Ross said that, I already told y'all what the counts are and all that good stuff. So that's when we found out that Tim will get probation if he lives to 81 and a day, 81 years old and whatever. If he gets out, he'll get 5 years probation, and he said, and 3 years to run concurrently. So it's 5 years for those life sentences, and I think 3 for the 240 months for the mail and wire fraud. He then said that he will not recommend the drug counseling for Tim, because Tim is not, to his knowledge, on drugs, hasn't had a drug issue. He says it's usually mandatory. So then I found out why he was always recommending it for everybody else, even though YL just seemed to be, a weed smoker. it's mandatory that they do drug counseling. So that's, and he was smoking weed. So he's like, okay, well, yeah. But Tim, I guess, doesn't do any of that. And so he didn't recommend it for him. Tim is also required, will be, if he's ever released, after serving a life sentence, he will be required to do DNA collections as needed. So if the feds want to knock on his door and say, hey, give us a sample because we trying to see if you did this again to somebody else, he'll have to give up DNA samples on request. And then we talked about the searching of his vehicle, his houses, computers, all that stuff. He won't receive a fine, but he does have a special assessment. He had a forfeiture of all the items that were seized when he was arrested. And then they talked about he had a $4,000 check that he received from the insurance company as a reimbursement. So I don't forgot the insurance company now. Was that Forrester's? Was that the one that finally approved it? I can't remember because it's just too much information, too long that it's been. But if it was Forrester's information, I mean, if it was whoever the insurance carrier was, when they did not give Tim his payout for Andre's death, the $450,000, they were like, we're not giving it to you because you're a suspect, but we're going to return your money because we basically like that contract was null and void, period, because it was fraudulently done. So they gave him back the $4,000 whatever dollars that he had paid into that policy through the premium over those years. So what the court is saying, and they mailed him that check while he was in prison. So they mailed that check back, mailed him that reimbursement while he was in prison. So they, the courts or the law, they have possession of that check that has not been cashed. And they like, thank you. Thank you. So they are taking that. And then in addition, there was $15,000. And Tim's attorney was saying, well, we don't understand why they're also taking $15,000 from him. And yeah, I think it was Forrester's. Thank Tiana. And what they were saying was the $15,000, the government was responding to like what these special assessments, the amounts were for. They said the $15,000 was the total from the money he gave Terica to commit this act and the money he gave Travell, which totaled $15,000. So they're fining him for those amounts. It's a little odd because it's kind of like, well, he paid the money out to them, so shouldn't they be paying it back because they the ones that ended up with it? But I'm okay with it. I'm just saying, like, as just observing. But yeah, so that's what it is. So a total of $19,000. And then the stuff that they had, that whatever was in his possession that they seized when he was arrested. I know there's a document on that too. I haven't looked at yet on the docket. Let's see. So then Judge Ross then tells Tim, he said, Mr. Norman, you have a right to appeal this conviction. We know that's coming. I noticed, so these were observation notes. At that point, I could get a better angle because I was moving around people's heads. And Tim did this to the front row. I don't know if it was Mama, whoever was on the front row. Well, I know it was JR, Tim's mom, Aunt Janice. Yeah, Aunt Janice. And I want to say Monique's daughter was up there too. And there was some, and Michelle, I can't remember. I don't know if Michelle was on the row behind him. But anyway, so those people were in the front. And Tim did like kind of, tight-lipped, like nod to them. Like, it is what it is. This is what we expected. Here we are. Then, Judge Ross said he's remanded to Tim is remanded to the custody of the marshals, the U.S. Marshals. They pull Tim's chair out. He gets up. After he gets up, he does kind of a wave to the family, to the Montgomerys, of course, not the Griggs. And then right as he's going to pass through the doorway, going out where you can't see him anymore, he does a head nod. And I don't know if that was to JR or whatever, because again, his friend JR was on the front row. What I noticed was interesting was that I really expected there to be way more people, like the people who have been there through the trial, the Charleses, the Well, Bruce was there. He came later. But just all the people, the big Eds and all of that, like all the players that I saw, Calvin even, who testified, Preacher. I ain't seen none of them people. They weren't there. Also, this was a thing of note. So remember, there was a girlfriend who we later realized that was the girlfriend who had been coming most of the time. I think she came all the time, but she was like mean bugging us and everything. And she was noticeably missing. So I was like, well, did she finally realize what we knew? And that is she now saying, oh, I was mean mugging them and they was right the whole time. Like, I don't know, but she wasn't there. And you would think she would be there for this, because she was the one who broke down. Her and Miss Robbie were like audibly breaking down during when Tim was convicted that day. So the other observation I have here is there was no audible sound. It was very quiet. It was very like pretty much like people just knew what was going to happen. There was no shock. There was no awe. There was no oh no. It was like, okay. It's like, all right, well, this is what we knew was going to happen. I have here noted that just to note that Michael Leonard, Tim's current attorney, who he wanted to fire like on the last day of the trial, will not be representing him in the appeal. I think that's about it. I'm almost done, y'all. I think that's yep. That was yep. That was it. Yep. That was it. So let's see how many comments we have here. I'm gonna take a quick little break just for my voice. Yep, we got enough comments. So I'm gonna take a quick little commercial break. I'm not gonna punish y'all. This is just a quick little commercial break. Give myself a little bathroom break. Hold on. Let me see. Which one? Yeah, we'll do this one. Remember, subscribe to Reality Chronicles. We will be doing these transcript readings over there, and then we got other true crime content. I can't wait for y'all to see that. If y'all love that plot timeline, it's more of that to come. All right, so I'll be right. I'm sorry, my computer freezing. What's happening? All right, we are back. Okay, so I'm gonna read as many comments as I can get through. I'm gonna give us, for those of you who can hang, I'm gonna try to do maybe, we'll see, somewhere between 30 to an hour of comments. We'll see how this goes. See how my eyes are, because one, I'm struggling already. Like, oh, can I see? M. Davis says, can someone please state what was the factor for this case becoming a live case again? Oh, I think you mean coming from a cold case to an active case again. And that was for one, the diligence of Andre's mom, Michelle Griggs, and through her diligence, when they picked up when the state of Missouri, and I think it was another state, where they created a task force, Operation Legend, who joined forces together with multiple governmental agencies and law enforcement to be able to solve these M mysteries in high crime areas. This is like my quick overview summary, because I did a video on that like 2 years ago, and I can't remember like details. I just remember the overall. But that was the catalyst of Michelle Griggs staying on it, and then her staying on it meant when there was really people to be able to take interest in these sort of things, she was already like, "Hey, remember me?" And that's how this got picked up. Yeah, and they had the resources, because when this originally happened, part of the reason it became a cold case is because the regular St. Louis police didn't have the capability and resources to handle a case like this, because this did become an interstate crime. So it became a federal crime because of that. They didn't have the ability for all this tracking and the phones and the texting and all the other stuff that happened. Venda Kendall says, I want to know, how did Tim look? It's being said he lost a lot of weight now. Tim hasn't lost any more weight than he had during the trial. So when we saw him during the trial was when there was that drastic weight loss from, we had seen him prior to that back in 2020 was the last time we had seen him. So from 2020, August of 2020, when he was arrested, to what was it? September 6th, I think might have been the first day of the trial of 2022. He had lost a lot of weight. So from his sentencing, from his conviction, September 16th, to his sentencing today, wasn't a drastic weight difference at all, except for his face had filled out a little bit. But he's still, for Tim, he is slim. Yeah. But like a healthy slim, like it actually looked, I don't know. Part of me don't want to say nothing positive about it, but it looked good on him. Like, yeah. These are not federal sentences. Yes, this is a federal case. These were federal sentences, and it held 36 months. 36 years is considered life in the state of Missouri. And so he got 2 of those. And then the third count was 240 months, I say 240 months. Thank you. Didn't pop up. Thank you so much, T2 friend. I appreciate you as usual. Harris Gill says, did Robbie speak after the sentencing? No, Miss Robbie has not said a mumbling word. She was talking to, so when we left out of the courtroom, I don't take notes when I'm walking around, but after we left out of the courtroom, like everyone filed out, we filed out row by row, like we did when during Terica's sentencing, when her family came out. But when her family came out, y'all know what that was. I told y'all about that. So we just left and we went outside, and then we just left. We knew the news wasn't going to cover it. Wasn't going to be no interviews like that. She wasn't important enough to this situation for them to have the news and stuff. But today we hung around. And so when we went out in the hallway right outside of the court doors, there was like the Montgomery family, the Griggs family. They let them out first, and they take them to a sequestered area. So we don't see them. They go to a different area. But Miss Robbie was out in the hallway. Basically, everyone I named, they were all out in the hallway. And Miss Robbie was kind of walking around talking to, hugging people she knew and talking to people, but she was not talking to the public at all. I don't expect she ever will, to be honest. Thank you, Chronicle and Jay, for your unwavering and pinpointed accurate cover of the case and trial. CNN needs you all. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate the compliment, but I'm independent. I ain't going back to nobody's corporate America. But yes, also follow. I'm thinking most of you probably already do, but definitely follow Chronicle Speaks and Today's Celebrity News, which is JSO Extra's channel, because they cover this. We all have a unique perspective on the same thing, like the way that we cover it. So even if you've heard my shenanigans and nosy neighbor style. Trust me, when you hear it from them, you're gonna be like, oh, Vale didn't even mention that part. Like, trust me. Or, oh, I now understand. He was so busy laughing, I didn't know what he was talking about. Like, it's different. So definitely check them out. Subscribe. The Golden Child says, I thought I was gonna say the Golden Girl. The Golden Child says, I'm still confused. I thought he got 36 times 36. That's 74. No, they run concurrent. So there's consecutive, would mean you serve one plus you serve the other. That's consecutive, one after the other. This is concurrent. They're both together. So each year he's serving is 2 years technically. Well, and a little bit more because he got the 48 months. 240 months in there too. So y'all do the math on that. But he's serving more than 1 day each day, if that makes sense. I don't know how to break that down. Justice was served today. Thank you for your coverage of the trial. Excellent job. Thank you so much, Sharon. I appreciate you for watching and supporting. Trikesha, hey friend, and Veeple community people. Trikesha says, what was the mood in the courtroom? It was very uneventful today. I don't know how else, like, that's really how I felt, was like, it was anticlimactic. I just expected, honestly, I thought it would be like emotion filled. I thought it was going to be like when he was convicted, the verdict. I thought it was going to be like that day times 2 or 3. That's what I expected. And it was nothing like that. It was like going to traffic court. Truly. It was like going to traffic court. Besides the stunt queen moves that Tim made, it was people just there like they was in traffic court. Yeah. Was Charles there? Charles was not in attendance today. Says, I heard Tim sent a letter to the judge. Can you elaborate? Yes, that's the email he sent last night that Judge Ross literally noticed while he was not deliberating, but while he was sentencing. So that's what I spoke about. But your message came through earlier. So it's, but yes, so we gave that detail. And what elaborating on that, I don't know. None of us know what was in the letter yet, because it hadn't been added to the docket. So it will be added to the docket, and that means we as the public will have access to it. So if it's not available now, since it's the close of business, probably give it a couple days and you'll be hearing. Us YouTubers will be sure to let you know. Nelly B says, thank you for your work on this. This was very thorough. Thank you. Thank you, Nelly. What made the Fed start looking at Tim as a suspect? Some of these questions I think might have come before, like these explanations. So I'll give a quick little response. But again, that's Michelle Griggs was the reason that the Feds started looking at him again. Well, started looking at him, period, really. Nelly B, what would you say was the most challenging part of doing all of the coverage? Honestly, the most challenging part was the traveling. I enjoy travel. I love the vacation. Those in our Patreon community and all of that and Facebook group, y'all know, y'all see the vacations. I love to travel, but like having work, and those of you who are again in those communities have seen me post the pictures of what my setup looks like. So hauling all this stuff around, arranging my life around it, and these dates move. That was probably the most difficult part. Well, and the other part is the human part of it. The trying to report this, be engaging and entertaining, but also respectful as much as possible. Tim, I don't care about, because don't nobody come at me like, "Did you disrespectful to him?" Yep, and will remain disrespectful to him. But yeah, trying to balance that, because these are real people. These are, they're public figures. Most of them, well, some of them are public figures. But these are real people, real people's lives. I have connected with them in ways that I've told y'all, in ways that I have not shared. And so that's, it's all that. So it makes, when I talk about it, it's different than me covering, even, some of these other cases, the Tyree Nichols case, where I can just say anything because I don't know the people. I'm not involved. I haven't been up close and personal. That is that piece, trying to be delicate, because some of the backlash y'all know that that we've gotten. But other than that, this has been a blessing too, because through this I've realized my calling in a way and have upped my game and my gift. My gift has made room for me, so to speak. So, and this is Sweetie Pies has always been my biggest story. This literally has always been my biggest story. This is the reason my channel has grown. This covering Sweetie Pies in general. Thank you for that question. That was a very thought-provoking question. I enjoyed that. Olivia says, did you have some things to share that you had to wait until the sentencing happened? Yeah, absolutely. But the Griggs have now shared more. There is more. I'm not sure what more will be shared. I'm not going to be the first to say those things. Once it's said, I'm letting loose. I've shared a few things on Patreon because I'm on our Patreon. I'm unfiltered, so you get more there. So consider joining there. But I do it in a way that I'm not exposing things or things people don't want to be exposed as of yet, or that could have harmed the case. So in those ways too, I have been careful, because that was enlightening during the trial when we started doing these. And then I would go the next morning and people would be talking, literally the court, the public and everybody be talking about the live stream and what I did, or saying, oh, I can't wait for tonight. And I'm like, and the FBI agents and the marshals and everybody was watching. And so it started to make me more conscious of what I said and how I said it. So, but I've grown from it. It's been very enlightening. Hopefully they'll keep him out of the kitchen. I wouldn't trust him fixing food for anyone. I mean, he can cook now. I don't think he would do anything crazy like that in prison, but I wouldn't mind having some free Sweetie Pie style food. Hold on. I'm pre-reading some of the questions, just making sure they're actually questions, just for the sake of time. And this somebody, Deborah Davis says, Vel, the third pick wig is what she wore today. Okay, thank you so much for that, Deborah Davis. Let me find it. Let me grab these again, because I just got confused. I literally, when I saw her today, I was like, oh, I know I got a picture of that one, and I'm gonna show y'all, because I can just say, hey, this is the wig she had on. And then I got home and started looking at it. I'm like, I don't know. So this is the wig. Thank you so much for Deborah. So Deborah's saying, and this, now that you're saying that, Deborah, I feel like it, maybe because I was sitting down and the way she walked by me, it seemed like it was longer in my mind. But now that you're saying, I'm like, yep, this the one. So this is the wig that Miss Robbie had on today. I love it. I think it's very, very stylish and youthful and all of that good stuff. So that's the wig she had. Thank you so much, Deborah. I appreciate that. I love when y'all help co-host for me. I love it. So the defense played a game of telephone and tried to use that as new evidence. Yeah. Also, that's exactly what they did. They tried to use that as evidence. I mean, yeah, it was Tim's attorney has made a habit of, and I guess that's why they consider him a great attorney, because I'm like, damn, I could be a great attorney too if all it's about is stunts and tricks. Like, I could just make up ish and throw it at the wall and see if it worked. Did that work? Did they take that? Are they buying that? Like, that's because that's all he's doing. Dre is saying his lawyer had all kinds of shenanigans going on during the trial too. Yep, stop it. It's over finally. Yes, exactly. Sugar Sharon says, thank you again, Vel, for taking us close. We could get to close so we can get to the proceedings. Also sharing the heartfelt hugs from the Grizz earlier. Victory. Thank you, Father. Amen. Yeah, exactly. I appreciate, and I thank y'all for supporting and watching. And I mean, it's something I really cared about. I care about. I'm passionate about the story and Dre and him getting justice and all of that. And so the fact that just through happenstance, I found out it was so many of y'all who also were interested in it. It made this journey much easier. Okay, I'm pre-reading. I'm trying to talk to y'all and pre-read, and and then sometimes I gotta skip through a couple. Okay. I'm trying to see if like questions and stuff I can elaborate on for y'all. Let me see. Yeah, this Pretty Kitty saying, I'm just glad that he got life like Miss Griggs said he will be doing life with her. I love that. Yes, that was deep, sending prayers her way. Yeah, I thought that was so impactful. And she said that during her witness victim impact statement reading, and I was glad that she said it again at the press conference so that you guys could hear it too. When I was standing, I was like, oh, I'm so glad she said that again, because now I get to show her saying it for all of y'all to hear it the way that we heard it. Gentry Smith says, everyone who watched him on the show could tell that he's a thug and would do anything for money and attention. He had more chances than any person I know. I'm so glad justice was served today. Amen. Yeah. But the truth is, yes, I agree with your statement, but people had different experiences with Tim. There are some people who won't say that he was a thug because that wasn't their experience with him. So, but this is how manipulators and sociopaths and stuff work. And usually the people who kind of go along with them are the people who don't necessarily see that side. It's when they feel crossed is when people see the darker side, or they feel they need to get rid of a person, or they're a threat or something like that. So the truth is, everyone didn't have that experience with Tim. And that's why you still have some people who have not paid as much attention as some of us, who still think he's innocent and that this is a mix-up. April Houston, thank you so much for the super chat, friend. I really appreciate you and everyone else who has offered the extra level of support, because it's extremely helpful. And I'm gonna take a quick break for the not break, but I'm gonna go through the Cash App because I always forget to do it, and it's just, you guys are so great. Benita C, Ababa, Carolyn Johnson, Monique, Yvette, Shanika B, and Valerie W, Gloria A, Emily, Danny H, Jennifer J, Sugar Spice, Marcia, Sugar Spice again, Shirley G, Kathleen, and Tracy C. Thank y'all so much. Those were the Cash Apps, because I really greatly appreciate y'all. When I saw them, I'm like, y'all take a load off when I could be like, okay, well, that's all taken care of. The hotel that got taken care of. Judge Ross stopped by the corner liquor store and got a drink after today's dealing with Tim. I'm sure he did. I wish I could be a fly on the wall or at the dinner table with him tonight about especially all these last minute shenanigans. Oh my God, I bet he's got a mouthful. Mary Charles says, I bet Charles is happy Tim got life. Tim used to bully Charles. Yeah, I feel like Charles, well, and especially because I did a video on Charles as well, like an update video, and Charles said people were commenting he was on a live stream, and people were commenting about Tim being Emmer and guilty and all of that, and he was like, I can't say, and I'm not gonna say no words, but I agree with y'all. And I was like, okay, I see what's happening here. But yeah, Charles, other than that, has not spoken on it. I don't know if he ever will, but he has not as of yet. Caitlin says, thanks for your hard work and bringing the information back to us. Thank you so much for your support and your cash super chat. I really appreciate you for that. Now this one's funny. Yes, I'm Unique says, Tim will be 80, an 80-year-old still trying to be a rapper. Right. His hair burn. I guarantee you, though, even in jail, he's gonna be an entrepreneur. Tim is not. He's a smart person, and even with all that he's been through, he's a smart person. He just got like real heavy vices that just ruin his life. Thank you so much, Pamela J and Lorna W. I'm not sure if I said Lorna before. Hold on. Let's see. He wants credit. It's not like they canceled his flight. There's no credit. I'm gonna need Tim to go back to jail and go lay down. Right, exactly. Thank you so much, RN Smith, friend, and Nina Ray all day. I feel like I haven't seen your name in a minute, but I know your name, like yours, because it rhymes. Good to see you again, Nina Ray. Sean McKinney, the goddess Earth. Thank you so much. Gratitude and highest magnitudes to you, sir. Hashtag justice for Dre. Amen. Thank you so much for your support in the super chat. Tapa Hairston, thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate y'all for your support. It goes a long way and encourages me to like do more versus saying, no, that's gonna be too much. That's too expensive. All of that, because I can be like, they got me. If I give to them, they give back. Sylvia Theodore, thank you so much, friend. Why lie to me? Oh, thank you so much, friend. I appreciate you. Thank you for the best commentary on this case. Love you and your channel. Love you too, friend. Really appreciate you. Gwendola, I think that's a Gwendola J. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. Sonia says, could you tell he was behind when they did the Sweetie Pies reunion? Everyone else was crying and sitting there chilling. I'm not a crier, so I get not crying, but he showed no emotion. I felt that way even because that video is way back from 2016. And I was like, okay, well, Tim's a hard ass. And I'm not a crier like that either. And so, especially in public and all that. And so I was like, I was torn though. I noticed it. I'll just say I noticed it. It was a lot to process. But now we know why. He couldn't even make up emotions. But that was also stated during the trial. I think in closing arguments and some other places, I think in closing arguments from the government, where they were literally saying he never showed any, I said it too, but he never showed any emotions anytime Dre was mentioned. Nothing about Dre got him emotional. Even when he got up there testifying about Dre and how much he loved Dre, no emotion, none. But as soon as Travell got up there, I didn't know it. Like when he's talking about the random youth in the neighborhood who he tried to mentor, I wanted to tell them you can make some chicken and survive and be rich. But your nephew, nothing. So yeah, that show you how much he hated Dre because he couldn't even fake, and he's an actor. He couldn't fake, not a good one, but y'all know what I'm saying. He couldn't even fake it. Okay, we getting down on the we got only 9 comments, so we doing good, y'all. Here we go. Sonia says, working for them was so bad I quit and went back to the block. Oh, Jesus. Wow. What I will say is I'm not surprised that working for them was bad. Like, as entertaining as it was as a viewer, as a person who worked in corporate America and managed people and all of that, I was like, that's a ish show over there. Like, you could just see it. You could see the type of conflicts they got in, the stuff and I'm like, this is edited. And even if it's edited and this is what I'm still seeing, I was like, yeah, I knew it would be nothing I would ever want to do. Even when he hired those managers, I think it was for the purpose of the show, but when he hired those managers and just the shenanigans that was going on with that, and the employees basically like, you can't tell me what to do. And I was like, what's happening around here? But even the way those managers, Tim wanted aggressive managers who treated people like they were drill sergeants. He wanted managers who acted like drill sergeants. And I was like, yeah, you don't have to treat people like that to get work done. Like, you actually get more work done when you don't treat them like that. It's a respect thing. But anyway, so I'm not surprised, but sorry you had that experience. I'm hoping you were able to get back off the block and find somewhere that works, because we don't need you in these sort of situations, friend. But thank you for sharing your story. RN Smith says, Ville, do you think Tim's hips could have done this before? Maybe that's why he thought he could get away with it. I honestly don't think he's done this before. I believe he's probably done other crimes that he's been able to get away with. But this was different. Like Darren said, Dre's brother, that he truly believes that this was personal and that Tim would have done this for free. It wasn't for the money. It was just Tim figured, well, if I'm going to take this, if I'm going to take him out, I might as well get something out of it. So, yeah, for that reason, I don't believe that Tim has done this before. I truly do believe he's done other crimes of different sorts. Thank you so much, Shani and Pamela J, if I didn't say it, and Lorna W, Benita C, if I haven't said it. I can't remember. I should have started liking them at the same time. That way I would have known. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all's support. Don Smith is saying, I'll be looking forward to the coverage on 2020 and Dateline. Yeah, me too. I really want to see, because of the fact that I feel so knowledgeable, I really want to see how they're going to approach this. And will I be like, yeah, I forgot that? Or like, oh, they really did a good job in summarizing this because it's a lot. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to summarize it because it's a lot. Power Dynamics, thank you, friend. Thank you, Phil, for your commitment and diligence on reporting stories important to all of us. My pleasure, friend. Thank you so much. Yeah, and what'll be coming up next is definitely I'll be following the Tyree Nichols case, Shanquilla Robinson. I do have an update on that, and I've been working on pieces of that video. The problem was, I need to get out the other video, which was way more complicated. So I'll be updating on that, and then it's something else that's I can't think of it right now, but it's a couple cases I'll be following, and then you guys let me know. Oh, the XXX, they had his trial. That rapper, Tentacion, I can't remember how to pronounce his second name. But that's an interesting story. It's the trial has been happening all while this was happening, so I didn't have the time to really follow it closely. But I'm going to do a summary video on that on our Reality Chronicles channel as well, because it's very interesting story of a young successful rapper who was taken out during a robbery while he was buying a bike. And a lot of it was caught on camera, too. Surveillance camera. Okay. Devon Douglas, thank you so much, friend. Says, when I saw the verdict was out, I looked to see what VellB was reporting first. Thanks for the hard work. Hashtag Dre Day. Thank you so much, friend. I appreciate you following and supporting me like that. Deborah says, it was definitely justice served and victory, but it's never really closure for the family. Yeah, that's part. I think that was my emotions after I sent a message to our Patreon community, kind of expressing what I was dealing with in the moment, because I was still processing, and I'm still processing. Like, to have to know I had to come on with y'all, it's like there's emotions there that I haven't been able to really deal with. But part of it was, for me, I don't know, wanting something for the family that really they could never get. Like, yes, they've gotten victory. This is beautiful, but it's still a sadness, because it's like, wow, they still just will never have Dre back. And that hurts because they are beautiful people. Yeah. Darlene P, thank you so much for the super sticker. Like, my brain is shutting down, y'all. So I'm glad we're done. We got one more, and then we almost done. Dallas, thank you so much for the super chat. Once again, stellar work. Vale, thank you so much, Dallas. I really appreciate you, friend, for your support and seeing that this is hard work. This ain't easy, y'all. I think I make it look easy and fun, and so people be like, he ain't doing nothing. Why I gotta like this? He ain't doing nothing. Why I gotta help him with $1 for that $300 hotel room in? Like, people don't be, But it's a lot. But I am so grateful for my people who realize that and see that. Dre's mom is incredible. She not only got justice for Dre, she probably saved another life. Amen. Because Tim would have do it again if he wasn't caught. Great coverage. Now that's possible. And like I told you, I do want to find that video of Terica that I told y'all that I have somewhere in my tens of thousands of files, digital files, where she said she had a home invasion and this guy broke in her home and was gonna take her life. And I'm really wondering, like, was that related to Tim? Don't know. Like, was he like, now I want to go back. I want to look at when that video was done, see if I can figure out a date. Was this right around the time he might have thought like Dre's case was being picked back up and he like, oh, I got to get rid of her. Like, and maybe the person he sent didn't have the nerve to really do it. Like, you just don't know. So thank you so much, Darrell Parker, friend. I really appreciate you for that. And why lie to me? Right. You do make it look easy. You're a natural. Thank you so much. Why lie to me? Yeah, because I watch these things back and I'm like, I know what's happening in my brain and where I am mentally. And sometimes I'm struggling, y'all, like mentally and everything else. And then I watch it. And I'm like, dang, I can't even tell what I was going through. It's you know, your gift will make room for you. God is good. So I appreciate, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. So lastly, once again, don't forget, I'm gonna beat this horse until we get these 1,000+ subscribers. But don't forget about our new Reality Chronicles. My brain is shutting down. But don't forget about our Reality Chronicles new channel. And what else was I gonna say? Definitely sub to it because we're coming with content on it next week. I talked about Jennifer. Did I talk to y'all about it, or was this Patreon? Did I tell y'all about Jennifer Williams, Tim's ex, who the Basketball Wives reality star who he dated, and he dated her on Sweetie Pie's show, that she recently talked about him with Carlos King? Let me know in the comments if I talked about that in this live. I mean, I'm not going in depth, but anyway, I'm going to be covering that story. That I'm going to cover that over here because that's just like a general. Well, maybe I don't know. I'll maybe send y'all over that for that. And then I'm doing the Bottoms Up Club on our Patreon. I am going to do the Bottoms Up Club Yelp reviews because I'm silly like that. But I want to be free to just talk and not have to be not able to use certain words and all of that. I want to be free. I want to be comfortable. I want it to be kitchen table talk. So we're doing that over on Patreon. If you're already a patron, I'll be putting the link in our thread, and you'll know when. If you're not, this would be a great time for you to become a part of the Patreon community. I just realized it's not up here, but it's in the description area of our most recent videos, but also here. And I'm going to put, if I can, oh no, let me do this. I'm going to put it in the chat. And we got other things over there. We got our Zelle Unfiltered podcast, and we have our lives, and then just random. It's me unfiltered. I don't know how else to describe it. It's me unfiltered. Like you get the full view of me. So what y'all see in this, there's way more of it, and it's more widespread. Like it's this life holistic. For thank you so much. Why lie to me? Yes, Patreon is fun. We have a really good time over there, and they get exclusives like that. The video we did, the timeline video, they saw that weeks ago. I showed them clips before I edited anything, so they saw the raw footage, and I talked to them through it, like almost like what we did last night, but they got the unfiltered version. Yeah, all of that. So with that, thank you guys. Thank everyone for coming in. We made it to the end, y'all. We just have his appeals coming. Well, that whatever with that. He ain't getting no new trial. But yeah, I'll see y'all over on the Reality Chronicles for us to do the transcript reading for Travell Anthony Hill. That'll happen next week. Then when Tim's transcripts for the trial, I know they're out, but they're very expensive. I'm not paying $6,000+ for them. That was ridiculous. Me waiting until the end of March, they are just a fraction, a few $100s. So remember to keep supporting because it costs money. But when they're made available, then at a reasonable cost, then I will do that, and we'll do that on our Reality Chronicles channel as well. So we'll be doing the transcript reading of the trial, and it's going to be Y'all think we're doing something right now. Wait till that. Woo, I can't wait. Because I want to revisit it now and soak it in a way that I wasn't able to because I was so busy taking notes. So with that, everyone, have a good night. Thank you so much to my front end moderators and my background singers, the background moderators, Precious G and Alice Bliss, child of God, who is very diligent and loyal, and I really appreciate you for that, friend. So with that, until next time, until I upload the next video, make sure to take care and be blessed. And hashtag justice for Andre and justice for the Griggs. Peace. Oh, let me out us. Let me do this first.